I no longer believe that Democrats and Republicans are much of a difference. I really don't. I'll explain a little bit more on this. I don't believe that both of these sides of the aisle with corporate massive donors behind them have the leverage to continue to get people to come out in full force for them. And so I believe that that leaves an opening for progressive and independents to be able to have a chance to get into office. And I'll explain in this video what I mean. What you'll see, people are no longer excited about our political system here in America, right? In my opinion. And so what you'll have is you'll have these politicians who get into office like the Republican Party that would try to criminalize abortions, and then they'll vote themselves out of office on the next term, and then you get a Democrat that goes into office, and the Democrats don't do anything to excite their people, and don't do anything for their base at all, but play politics. And so the American people feel what's happening to their wallets on a regular basis. And so they go back and forth with both sides of the aisle, everyone confused. And I believe that that leaves an opening. And I believe that these politicians no longer have leverage over the American people. And so what I mean by that is that I believe that there's a way to get a progressive in office. And I'm going to explain more on that here. I no longer believe that politicians have leverage. And what I mean by that is, think about this. Usually Republicans vote Republican because they're scared of the illegal immigrants coming in. They're scared of the big, scary black man, right? They're scared of gay people and the gayness rubbing off on them because of their self-thoughts, right? And the thoughts that they have. And there's been so many politicians that have come out of the closet who were yelling against gay people, pastors, preachers. It happens all the time. And on the other side, you have the Democrats, who people typically vote Democratic because they fear that things like abortion rights are going to be taken away. Issues that really put them in fear as well, right? For voting for a Republican, right? They fear that it's going to be criminalized. They fear that the Republicans are going to continue to separate people and not give people equal rights, right? And so both of these fears from both sides that are typically used to get voters, it's no longer being effective. People are sick and tired of the political issues that are happening. People want to see actual policies being pushed forward that are going to help the American people. And so you're seeing less and less Democrats, you're seeing less and less Republicans, and more independent people that are starting to listen to the Progressive Party, the People Independent Party, people that are actually out there working for the American people. And so I don't believe that politicians any longer have leverage, right? The reason I say this is because there's nothing that they could do that hasn't already been done to the American people. I believe there's a way to get progressives into office, right? We got to understand. Let's think back on the Trump administration and the drastic measures that Trump had to take to keep us out of a recession, right? He printed excess amount of money like never before. And so we knew that inflation was coming, right? And because we knew inflation was coming because of all this money that was printed out, we also know that if Trump would have won the second term, he would have been the one blamed for the inflation that was created by him, right? During his administration. And so in this specific case, the Biden administration took the blame for the recession, right? And so gas prices were out of control. And so people see this and they're like, oh, well,
I mean, it's Biden's fault because that the gas prices are out of control, right? But if we let these politicians elect themselves out of office.
So what do I mean we bailed out Donald Trump during his administration? So had we said to ourselves, okay, you know what, Biden is not necessarily what the country needs. Yes, Trump is the worst of the worst, a million times worse than Joe Biden, in my opinion. But if we say, okay, if the American people vote for a progressive during Donald Trump's second term election, we begin to make progress. And the reason I say this is because if Trump wins that second term, we blame Trump for the mistakes that he made during his administration. I believe inflation would have been extremely out of control had he been in office. Not only that, I also believe that he wouldn't have been able to create the jobs that Joe Biden did. He wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the things that Joe Biden administration did as well. And so I don't believe people vote Republican for a very, very long time after this. I just don't believe that. And even the Republican Party wanted him out of office. This is not by mistake. This is because they were trying to save the party for the future.
By the American people saying, okay, we know that a progressive is not likely to win an election, right? People are ignorant. They don't know exactly, they don't even know what progressives are now. So if you're a voter and you say, okay, well, I'm not afraid if Donald Trump wins a second term, I'm going to vote progressive, and I'm going to continue to vote for someone like this progressive, like a Bernie Sanders, for example. What happens? I tell you what happens. You get these officials, elected officials, who would vote themselves into, who would get a second term, for example, like a Trump, and had that happened, I don't believe we ever vote for another Republican, right? We never, and so that happens here in Kansas City, and it happens all across the country, in which we always bail out these politicians. We'll elect a Republican one cycle, and then we'll elect a Democrat on the other cycle, and then they keep switching back and forth and then scaring the American people with the policies of each other, right? But if we continue to say, okay, if we say, okay, enough is enough, and we're gonna vote for a candidate that we feel is right, because this generation is a little bit more educated than our elderly parents, who we have to talk with them. We have to let them know a lot of this time this is even elderly abuse. These politicians have access to these retirement homes and access to the TV that they watch all day, and so someone like a progressive doesn't have that. And so we, the people, have to educate the older people into saying, look, this is what's on the table. This is what this guy is talking about. This is why we say the things that we say.